Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the victims of a helicopter crash near Terrace were finally recovered. A property tax hike in Terrace may not be as high as expected initially, and BC spending a lot of money on a new cancer research lab.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making news in the Northwest and beyond. The head of the heli-skiing company that saw one of their helicopters involved in a fatal crash that was located north of Terrace stated that the 3 victims who died in the crash have had their bodies recovered after nearly an entire week passed. John Forrest, the president of Northern Escape Heli-Skiing, went on to say in a statement that the RCMP, along with Terrace Search and Rescue, were the ones that led the effort over the weekend. The victims of last Monday's crash have been officially identified as being from Italy. Search and rescue personnel later said that the previous week saw poor weather hamper the recovery efforts, explaining why the operation lasted until Sunday. And Forrest also said he knows how important it's been for the victims' families to bring their loved ones home from the mountain and give them a proper resting place. Word has come out to reveal that a property tax hike that has been proposed for the city of Terrace is said to have dipped below the initially pitched increase of over 9%. This decrease has seemingly stemmed from the BC Assessment Authority firming up tax assessment rolls, a method that determines information to use for creating property tax rates in cities, which also happened to reveal that Terrace will get more on property taxes from construction than they initially thought. With that information, Terrace Finance Director Lori Greenlaw said in a statement that the property tax increase can be dropped from 9.31% down to 8.83% thanks to that net gain in tax revenue. The discussion around this increase is part of Terrace's ongoing assembly of a 5-year financial plan that eventually needs to be presented. The City of Prince Rupert's sole taxi company, Skeena Taxi, was the recipient of another handicap-accessible vehicle, their 3rd in total. The company got this type of van after getting increased demand for it in addition to one of Skeena Taxi's drivers putting forth a large investment. This new van should be invaluable to Skeena Taxi not simply because it adds to the number of the company's handicap-accessible vehicles, but also due to the fact that the other 2 vans normally aren't that easy to access. The company's president, Gurveer Adawal, also recently stated that it should really help in the summer due to a major demand increase. BC is spending $32 million to fund a new state-of-the-art cancer research lab specializing in nuclear medicine. It comes as the government faces pressure to provide better access to care. Here's CTV's Rob Buffum.
It's state-of-the-art nuclear medicine being developed at UBC, the province spending $32 million to fund the Triumph Cancer Research Lab and to build a new cyclotron machine and radiopharmacy laboratory. The cyclotron machine will produce radioactive isotopes used for cancer diagnosis, research, and treatment.
Positioning our province as a driving force in Canada's nuclear medicine ecosystem.
Isotopes are used in PET-CT scans critical for detecting cancer and monitoring its spread. The global shortage of isotopes in 2022 posed a temporary threat to such scans. This new equipment will expand BC's capacity from 16,000 PET-CT scans a year to 41,000.
Increasing PET-CT access enables our physicians to accurately diagnose and stage cancers, determine appropriate treatment options, and treatment planning.
The importance of early detection is all too familiar for Leah Roundtree. She was diagnosed last spring with stage 3 breast cancer, missed during routine mammograms, and has undergone chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation treatment.
The point of getting early diagnosis is to avoid that kind of harsh treatment and then give you a better prognosis.
The news comes amidst pressure for the province to provide better access to timely detection and treatment. Since last spring, BC has been sending breast and prostate cancer patients to Washington State for radiation treatment. The health minister says that program, a contract with facilities in Bellingham, is maxed out at 50 patients a week.
A 2-year agreement, and I would expect we'll no longer need it within the time of that agreement.
The cyclotron is expected to be up in operation, producing isotopes by 2026. Not a moment too soon for those who know firsthand the value of early detection, or for the 44,000 British Columbians a year expected to receive a cancer diagnosis by 2034. Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
Coming up next, BC's police's use of force is under investigation via an inquiry. Welcome back. BC's Human Rights Commissioner lodged an inquiry into police use of force with the goal of understanding how often force is used against racialized people and people experiencing mental health issues, as deadly force was used in 2 recent Vancouver Island police shootings. CTV's Adam McMillan has more.
We don't know in BC whether police disproportionately use force against certain racialized communities or people with mental illness.
The commissioner says getting that data could bolster what marginalized communities have long said, that they're disproportionately targeted by police.
We're looking to provide that database, provide the evidence to be able to enable decision makers to make those changes and to justify those changes.
This follows a development in the fatal shooting of a man in distress outside of a Saanich Mall in 2021. Late last year, the IIO asked BC's prosecution service to consider charges against the Victoria police officer who shot him. The IIO is also asking the service to consider charges against 3 Campbell River RCMP officers involved in the death of Jared Lowndes, an Indigenous man who was shot and killed by police in 2021.
He was so loved by so many people.
The inquiry builds on research from 2 years ago, which dug into data on arrests and detentions and mental health calls.
We saw significant racial disparities in the 5 police jurisdictions that we were looking at.
She says one problem is bias, and a criminal justice instructor says another is an increase in mental health calls.
The expertise is required from both sides, both from a policing perspective and from a mental health perspective, will, I think, enhance the response to those types of calls.
Police departments send use of force reports to the Public Safety Ministry, which is where the Human Rights Commission will get the data for the inquiry.
We anticipate making the results public either late this year or early 2025.
Results that will likely include recommendations to government and police about any changes that need to be made. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
To the impact of heavy rain and warm weather, a state of local emergency remains in effect in the village of Pemberton, where flooding prompted an evacuation order for several properties and evacuation alerts for dozens more. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi has the latest.
Running incredibly fast and high. The water levels are so high in some areas, trees could barely be seen, nearly swallowed by water. One storm chaser saying he'd never seen Nairn Falls near Pemberton so swollen.
It's certainly shocking footage to see, and something that we sometimes do see this time of the year when we see these atmospheric rivers impacting our area.
This time lapse shows just how much water levels fluctuated, at one point nearly engulfing this section of Highway 99 between Whistler and Lillooet, before eventually receding Tuesday night. People in the evacuation zone near the bank of the Lillooet River are being asked to grab their essential items and leave.
We have sandbagging station at our village office if anybody needs. Our infrastructure is holding well, knock wood. So the flood mitigation infrastructure is in good shape. We always got to check for weaknesses, and that would be the scariest part.
Emergency Management and Climate Readiness Minister Bowen Ma says the province is working closely with the region on its flood response, adding emergency support services are available to those who have been evacuated.
You sure you're okay?
At a local animal shelter, there was a full-scale rescue operation. The shelter says it witnessed an extraordinary act of heroism from Blackcomb helicopters, saving 5 puppies and their mother from the dangerous floodwaters, adding, their swift and decisive actions saved lives and we are profoundly thankful. The new evacuation alerts include a mobile home park just off Highway 99, along with several other properties along the Sea to Sky Highway. The mayor of Pemberton saying right now it's a game of wait and see, and they are monitoring the situation closely. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Victoria is gaining some international attention after setting a new car auction record. CTV's Dan McIntosh reports.
In a nondescript location in Victoria's warehouse district, automotive history is being forged. Super exciting to have that validated on the international stage.
Known for winter cherry blossoms and whale watching, car aficionados know the BC capital as a mecca for vintage restorations. The latest? A record sale for this 1956 Mercedes SL 300.
My wife would probably vouch for this. I was in tears when I saw that car cross the block at the number it did.
The crowning moment for Coachworks was also a big win for the car's owner, Tim Kwok's sister, who spent 5 years on the restoration journey.
There's so much heavy lifting, you'd think my muscles would be bigger.
Still, he found fun along the way.
I drove that car personally at 180 kilometers an hour.
Under police supervision. Kwok's sister's love for cars began with his father and evolved from his early days at the Mercedes dealership. In 2001, he founded Silver Arrow Cars and within a few years bought his first Mercedes SL 300.
Gull-wing doors that go up, everybody recognizes them, so they will be an icon forever.
Silver Arrow sits just 1 block away from the restoration specialists at Coachworks. Its own history with the Mercedes goes back decades. The shop sends employees to Germany for training and flies teachers in, creating a culture that's hard to resist.
My professional background was that I was a chartered accountant. I decided about 10 years ago to make a change. The only regret is that I didn't do it earlier.
A lot of people say that they have to go to work. I always say that I get to come to work.
Today, Silver Arrow has a few more Mercedes SL 300s in the Coachworks shop, including another Gullwing. It may not look like much now, but give it another 4,000 hours and it could be another record breaker. Either way, these two classic car titans will keep chasing their dreams, hiding in plain sight in the capital's industrial section, seeing if the rest of the world can catch up. Dan McIntosh, CTV News, Victoria.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is likely to see some rain and a low near 7 degrees or so. The Terrace-Kitimat area is supposed to deal with periods of rain of its own, but with a low at 4 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District will also get its own showers and a low hovering near 2 degrees. On the North Coast, their upcoming week will be made up of mostly mixed sunny and cloudy conditions, while also having some rain, while the high moves around from 8 to 1 degree. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them is supposed to start out with clouds and rain and maybe snow before moving to a mixture of sun and clouds too, with a high ranging from 6 to -3 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, showers plus snow will also be at the start of the next week or so, before moving into mixed sun and clouds as well, with the high bouncing between 5 and -8 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, utility work, bridge maintenance, fog patches, and black ice, plus the USC ferry is out of service and the cable car is in effect. Highway 35 and 118 have some slippery sections too. Highway 37 has slippery sections as well, while also having black ice, as well as various bits of shoulder maintenance and even fog patches. 37A has slippery sections, some fog patches on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections of its own. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the View of the Province's highway cams. Still to come is the appearance of an old friend many people may have not seen for a while. Welcome back. We're getting a closer look today at a mysterious marvel carrying stories of the past that appeared by a white sandy shore in Newfoundland. It's taken a small community by storm, with many rushing to get a glimpse. CTV's Garrett Berry reports.
It's a secret of the ocean a small coastal community is trying to uncover.
I'm just interested to see how old it is. Never knows, it could be a ship that brought my ancestors here.
Wanda Blackmore's son found this mysterious wreck 10 days ago. Now, it seems like just about everyone's come down to this beach to have a look for themselves.
It's just a boat, but you don't see this every day in a lifetime. Not something this old.
Photographer Corey Purchase captured gold in video that's now been shared around the world.
It's like discovering a ghost ship. When you're flying over, it's like you get this airy feeling that, like, what happened when it went down.
Cape Ray has an important place in shipping history. Its lighthouse once guided boats safely into the Cabot Strait. Some here speculate that Hurricane Fiona in 2022 dredged up this boat, and people who live in this town now feel a big connection to the history.
Right now, these tides are working against archaeologists. This boat doesn't really reveal itself out of the water until after sun goes down. That's supposed to change by the weekend when the archaeology team hopes to arrive here in Cape Ray.
The ship is being battered by the waves, so today, locals tied 3 ropes onto the overturned hull. They hope that will be enough to keep it in place until experts arrive. Garrett Berry, CTV News, Cape Ray, Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's always nice to hear from an old friend who just wants to check in. Well, Elmos from Sesame Street checked in with the internet, and the responses from the likes of rapper T-Pain to the president of the U.S. were rather emotional. ABC's Will Reeve has the story.
Oh, Elmo's so happy to see you. You're Elmo's friend. Elmo really loves friends.
It started as a simple question from one of America's most beloved characters, Elmo, taking to X to ask, "How's everybody doing?" With nearly 200 million views and tens of thousands of replies, the earnest question unleashed an avalanche of responses from so many dealing with difficult issues. Men and women from all over writing in with statements like, "Elmo, I'm suffering from existential dread over here," and "Every Monday, I cannot wait for Friday to come, every single day and every single week for life." Fresh off a heartbreaking Lions loss, the Detroit Free Press speaking for many, saying, "We've been better." Rapper and singer T-Pain adding, "I'm just looking for somebody to talk to and show me some love, if you know what I mean." Even President Biden weighing in, saying, "I know how hard it is some days to sweep the clouds away and get to sunnier days." After the high volume of responses, Sesame Street's official account shared a link for those looking for help with their mental health.
This is the song, la 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 la, Elmo's song.
Elmo not shying away from his new role as America's therapist, later writing, "Wow, Elmo is glad he asked. Elmo learned that it is important to ask a friend how they are doing. Elmo will check in again soon, friends. Elmo loves you. Hashtag emotional well-being."
Now over to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is down 0.12 of a cent. The price of gold is up $16.50. Oil is down $1.97. Natural gas is up 2 cents. Aluminum is up $10. In Toronto, the TSX is down 205.99 points. Venture Index is down 8.42. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 317.01, and Nasdaq is down 345.89. Still ahead are details on a serious case involving 5 Canadian hockey players facing charges. Welcome back. Reactions pouring in on the high-profile case of 5 Canadian hockey players facing sexual assault charges. It's in connection to an alleged group sexual assault of a woman in a hotel room after a Hockey Canada event in June 2018. Lawyers for Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, Michael McLeod, and Cal Foote confirmed that the NHL players are facing charges connected to an alleged sexual assault of a woman in London, Ontario in 2018. Lawyers for the 4 players denied any wrongdoing on behalf of their clients. The allegations haven't been tested in court yet. Former Ottawa Senators player Alex Formanton turned himself into police in London, Ontario over the weekend. A criminal defense lawyer was later spoken to on what to expect from the trial or trials.
And sex assault cases are very complex now because of the government's change in the law to try and protect the rights of complainants. So I think this will be lengthy, complex, given the number and nature of the accused and the potentiality for pretrial motions that are associated with this in relation to whether or not she had any prior sexual contact with others that may be influential in the determination, or whether or not there's records of communications that are going to be presented. These are all significant issues in a sex assault case.
All 5 players are currently on leave from their teams and have been told to surrender to police. London, Ontario police are set to hold a news conference on Monday with more details on the case. Premier David Eby apologized this weekend after saying one of his staff posted the wrong message on social media linking to his statement marking Holocaust Remembrance Day. Andrew Reeve, the press secretary for BC United, shared a screenshot in the initial post reading, "We stand with the Muslim community throughout Canada on this sorrowful day of remembrance." That day was the anniversary of a deadly 2017 shooting at a Quebec City mosque, and further screenshots show a post on Eby's Instagram with a message paying tribute to those killed in the attack. In an X post, Eby said the mistake never should have happened, and he's sorry for any pain that the mistake may have caused. The provincial government is spending $250,000 to promote made-in-BC wood products as part of their efforts to modernize the forest industry. A statement from Forest Minister Bruce Ralston said that promoting local products on the global stage will lead to more jobs being created for every tree that's harvested in BC. The funding is being provided to BC Wood, a nonprofit trade association with a membership of 120 wood manufacturers across the province. It comes after workshops were held last fall as part of a new value-added accelerators initiative, which BC is leading alongside several industry associations, as well as the First Nations Forestry Council. That's all of our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.